Good evening.
Hey, what is this? A double feature? Whoa, that's a premiere. That's crazy. Let me explain. Both movies, the Australian The Loved One, 2009, and the American The Woman, 2011. That sounds like I said The American Woman, but I'm talking about the American movie called The Woman. They both have been recommended quite often, and frankly that's the sole reason why I watched both of these movies. But you know, I never really wanted to cover them in a disturbing movies video because, you know. So hey, it's double feature time! That is something new. It really is nothing more than just two little reviews, but two often requested little reviews. And you know, like maybe they're somehow related, like maybe content-wise a little bit. Anyway, yeah, boom! So first up, The Loved Ones. So it's a pretty high score on IMDb and the Internet Movie Database for a recent, what is this, a crime drama horror? Oh, so let's just first see what it's about.
So we have this boy and this girl. Girl asks boy to the prom, boy kindly rejects. Girl turns out to be a psycho by kidnapping the guy and torturing him, aided by her lovely father. And then, yeah, something has to happen, of course, before the movie somewhat comes to a conclusion.
It's not super original, but hey, it could still be good. But you know, it just gets me thinking like how big of a classic the Texas Chainsaw Massacre actually is. Okay, like maybe with this one it might be a bit far-fetched, but just in general the whole person being kidnapped and physically and mentally tortured by a deranged family thing, I just can't help but to think back to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But hey, at least here the victim, it's a guy, so yeah, that's how's that for a politically correct, yeah.
So, the first problem I have with this movie is that the antagonist, this is just a fancy word for the bad guy, she's just so unlikable. I can't really explain why, I just don't like her. And you could say like, oh well, you're not supposed to like her, you know, because she's the bad guy, or well, girl, bad girl, makes it sound a little different. But yeah, maybe I'm just old-fashioned and expect the villains to be cool, you know, like Jason and Freddy, those guys. Even Leatherface, he was pretty cool, at least far from annoying. This girl, she's just a B-word, put it nicely. I mean, the guy has a girlfriend, and look how kindly he rejects the girl.
Sorry, Lola. I'm done with Holly.
No reason to go all psycho on his ass.
So yeah, it just kinda sucks if you spend the whole movie with a character that you just don't like. And obviously it's a matter of opinion and tastes, so it's my personal problem, I guess. But then again, we don't spend the whole movie with her because there's a subplot.
The most useless subplot ever, that is. It's about one of the main character's friends who goes to the actual prom with his goth girl. It doesn't go anywhere and it basically only serves as an excuse to cut away from the main story. I mean, is it to show like the contrast between the two settings? Because if so, it doesn't really work for me. The prom stuff is goofy and whatnot. I guess maybe the movie is like a dark comedy. But that doesn't really work with the main story. I mean, that is played too straight for it to be funny in a dark way, in my opinion at least. And yeah, I get how the characters in the subplot are connected with the blah and the blah and the blah. But still, it's not that very well written. It's kind of a lazy solution.
Whoa, well, look at me bashing this movie. That's not nice. But you know, maybe I just expected too much. You know, like with all those recommendations I got and a pretty high score on IMDb, but I didn't really care for it. Yeah.
But let's sum it up. The movie lacks in originality. I know it's hard nowadays, I guess, but hey, come on, man. I found the bad girl, just gonna call her the bad girl. I found her annoying. We have a misleading subplot and at points it just gets too over the top for its own sake. But besides all of that, great movie. No, I did sorta like the ending. It wasn't predictable for what it was, so yeah, they did have that going on. It's cool. So in conclusion, I wasn't impressed, but I can see how people do like it. So yeah, well, I never really give ratings, so let's go on.
Yeah, the woman! You know, I'm not a native English speaker and sometimes I'm happy about that. By the way, what's up lately with all those, what is it, like Christopher Walken / Dracula, like, that I sound like that? And people assume that because I speak in an accent is Russian. Like, doesn't he? Anyway, if this movie was Dutch, it would have been called De Vrouw. And it just doesn't sound like anything I would watch. De Vrouw. But you know, because it's in English, the woman. That's cool, you know? But then again, if you're a native English speaker, it's just like the woman. So yeah, that's, you know. Anyway, directed by the guy who brought us May, remember? And written by the guy who brought us The Girl Next Door. Hey, that sounds pretty promising. Too bad the movie sucks. Oh man, I'm starting hating already. Let's back up a few steps, see what this movie is about. Bet it's about a woman.
So, we have this family. That's nice. The father goes out hunting, I guess, and comes across this wild woman. She is the woman. I mean, I guess she's just wandering around in the woods. So he captures her, takes her back home, locks her up in the cellar, proudly shows his family, and then decides to... I honestly don't really know what his intentions are. He wants to civilize her, I guess. But as it turns out, he is the one that is uncivilized. Woo!
Well, that's all very unlikely. And that's my biggest problem with this movie. It makes no sense. It's completely unbelievable. First, you randomly have this caveman-like woman running around. Or do you call it like a cave woman-like person? Let's think about that for a minute. Nah. And the guy bringing her home, showing her family, and they're all like, okay, yeah, it's cool. You tell him that. It's just, but apparently the woman, well, the cave woman in the movie, she's a leftover from the prequel movie Offspring. But besides both movies being based on a novel by Jack Ketchum, I believe they're quite unrelated. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't seen Offspring. I'm down with their music though. But the father and the whole family, we don't get a backstory for them. It's just another random psycho, just like the girl and the loved ones.
Again, so many unlikable characters. I mean, while the father is played pretty okay, like the acting is okay, he's just such an asshole. So is his son. The oldest daughter is a boring, depressed teenager, already got enough of those. The little girl's like, whatever, and well, the mother is the only one you sort of feel sorry for. Definitely after all the stuff she's been through as May already. Another common complaint about the movie that I definitely must agree with is the music. What the hell were they thinking? You're watching these dramatic scenes while listening to... Oh man. I don't even know how this music is called. Oh no, I do know. It's called out of place music.
I don't know, guys. I just thought it was a little bit silly. Without spoiling too much, I wish I could say like the end is the best part. And it kinda is, but still quite ridiculous. De Vrouw.
There is this whole feminist interpretation of the movie, which you'll easily find if you do a quick Google search, but I don't know about all of that. Also, perhaps more important, some people seem to think this movie is extremely disturbing. And while it definitely isn't your latest Pixar feel-goodery, it's nothing that hasn't been done before a dozen times. I'm not trying to act cool by saying that I didn't find it disturbing. I just didn't find it disturbing because I'm so cool.
I'm kidding, of course, but yeah, so conclusion. Well, I liked The Loved Ones better, and remember what I said about that one in conclusion? Let's take a look back.
So in conclusion, I wasn't impressed, but I can see how people do like it.
So yeah, I liked it less than that. So yeah, that was fun. Didn't care for the movies, but hey, they weren't terrible. And if you haven't seen them and you're like, what the hell does this guy know? Give him a try. And next time we're talking movies, we're talking disturbing movies again. 12 of them in part 10. Booyah!